Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Let's Go Racing Motorsports Report. I am Mike Babicz, your host. And before we get into thanking folks and getting into our guest tonight, two important announcements. Racing tonight at Great Lakes Dragaway is canceled due to storms that are moving into the area. Racing tonight, Great Lakes Dragaway is canceled. Okay. Racing tomorrow for the bumper-to-bumper IRA Outlaw Sprint Cars and the MSA 360 Sprints at Dodge County Fairgrounds in Beaver Dam, Wisconsin, is postponed until September due to forecasted high winds, making racing a winged sprint car or a winged sprint car of any type, or a 410 or a 360 on a half mile that is extremely fast, very, very dangerous for the drivers. So by agreement of various race teams and Steve Sinclair of the IRA, tomorrow night's program at Dodge County has been postponed and rescheduled for September. And we'll be talking with Scotty Neitzel a little bit more about that in our last segment because it was the Harry Neitzel Memorial that was scheduled tomorrow night. And again, that has been postponed until September. Okay, we want to thank our sponsors, including Bumper to Bumper IRA Outlaw Sprint Cars and Steve Sinclair, Great Lakes Dragaway, Game Day Men's Health of Vernon Hills and soon to be Kenosha, B&L Office Furniture, Great American Tire of Kenosha, Whitmore's Towing and Recovery, the Irwin family and Force One Performance, Fox Lake Harbor, the Hunt Club of Richmond, and we're going to be taking a road trip to the Hunt Club of Richmond probably sometime in September like we did last year. MLS Auto Clinic, Debbie and Eddie Boyd, and their involvement with the Stars and Stripes, as well as the Lake County Honor Flights. Bodycraft, they are providing the new IRA Pace vehicle and also the Wilmot Raceway Pace vehicle. And that's Mark and Tony Maglio and Bodycraft. Goodwin Performance, the Lake County Hose and Equipment, Bill Fusting and his fine crew over there in Beach Park. Hartnell Chevrolet. And we've got 3 shows that are going to be coming up, some car meets. It's going to be Cars and Custard. And that's going to be up at Hartnell Chevrolet. One's on June the 21st. One is on July. I'm going to have to get back to you on the date in July. And then we also have one in August, on August the 3rd, I believe it is. They're all 3 Saturdays. And we'll have more information. But again, they're going to be from 10 a.m. until 1 p.m. on each of those days. Going to have the cars, custom cars, race cars. Going to have some music and entertainment and things for the kids, and some custard from Culver's there in Paddock Lake. And speaking of Culver's of Paddock Lake, we're also going to have a remote out there and a car meet. That'll be coming up probably in sometime in late June, early July. And we'll have that date finalized hopefully by next week's show. Impressions count. Randy and his crew. Weeby Waxon, that's Chad and his gang. Jack's Helmets, he does a fantastic job on helmets. And contact Jack, he does a great job. People Architectural Group, we don't build buildings, we build people and help you to build a great staff. So for all your human resources needs, contact People Architectural Group and Sarah Missiel. Also, Cabins on the Lake in Friendship, Wisconsin, A-Main Apparel and Diecast. Kaylee Burns, who does Grandpa's hair and Grandma's too. Midwest Motor Coach and Olson Transportation. Going to talk to Rob and Robbie in a very little bit. Nielsen Enterprises of Lake Villa. John Hatterline, attorney at law. Five-star race car bodies. Carl and Corey Schultz. And they do a fine job there. The Northern Illinois Council on Alcoholism and Substance Abuse. Want to thank everybody that donated in the NASCAR Day of Giving. That was on Tuesday and yesterday, Wednesday. And NICASA is one of the only not-for-profits between Chicago and Milwaukee that receive funds through the NASCAR Day of Giving. So that's a pretty good honor for NICASA and for this area as well. And I also want to thank Jim Trado at Racing Roundup. He gets together every Tuesday from 6 till about 7:30 up there at Paulie's Pub and Eatery. So, again, if you'd like to become involved with us here at the Let's Go Racing Motorsports Report, you can contact Kent Jones and get his information, or you can contact myself, and we'll tell you how you can become involved. So we appreciate everybody that does work with us. So we're now going to bring in Mark Dietrich. Mark Dietrich, one of the voices of the Great Lakes Dragway. And Mark, last night, your night was cut short because of fog. And now tonight, I think it was a good move. Impending storms that are coming in, a lot of high winds, just not making it very conducive for an enjoyable night at the Great Lakes Dragway. So Randy and the staff decided to pull the plug, and no racing tonight at Great Lakes Dragway.
Correct. Can you hear me?
Yep, hearing you fine.
All right.
Now this weekend, it's bracket racing, and I believe it's Saturday and Sunday. And then what have you got scheduled for tomorrow evening?
Well, tomorrow night, we have a snowmobile drag race. It's a bracket race program, Midwest Snowmobile Drag Racing Series. It's a points race set up kind of like the Summit Series, and they race all season long. The Kenosha area drag racers are going to have a little gathering as well tomorrow night, and it's an early bird day too. So the track opens, I want to say the track's ready to go at around noon tomorrow. I won't be there until after I get out of work at the day job, but it's going to be a long weekend. We got bracket racing Saturday and Sunday. IHRA Summit Series points racing. Junior dragsters will be there. It'll be all kinds of fun.
And now tomorrow night, you mentioned it'll be an early open. How long will you race tomorrow night? Till about 11-ish?
Schedule, we should go till 10 o'clock. We should be done with everything about 10 o'clock. You can hear thunder in the background, possibly. The windows are rattling.
And now it's, you mentioned snowmobiles. Now, this is snowmobiles on the quarter mile, not on the dirt course that they've put in on the kind of the west side of the facility.
Correct. These are set up for racing on asphalt. They got little rollers on the skids and special treads on them, and they're fast. They're fast.
Yeah, well, I know, too, when we were up last fall and saw them running over on the clay, that was pretty impressive. And they had, I think, 2 or 3 world records. And John was keeping us updated. He says, yeah, they're going to let the grass grow. And then he says, no, they're not going to let the grass grow. And they're just going to cover it over for the winter because they were just so happy with the surface that they ended up putting together and the world records. So they decided to just keep it clay. And they're still finalizing the schedule, I believe, with Randy and getting things together for how many events they're going to have. But, I can't, whenever folks hear that they're going to be running those, go out and see them. They're unbelievable.
Oh, it's amazing. And we got a couple of guys that run in that series that also run in the Summit Series, the IHRA Points Race Series as well. So you'll see a couple of snowmobiles running all weekend long.
Now, in the bracket racing that you're talking about, for those that may not be familiar with drag racing, what is bracket racing and what kind of vehicles will they see during the course of the weekend?
Well, it's drag racing, but it's not heads up. It equals out the playing field. You can have an 8-second car and you can have a 16-second car, and you'll be able to race against them and have a chance at winning. Basically, the times you pick a time that you think your car is going to run, and that is your what they call a dial in. That's what you dial your car in to run at, and your opponent has a dial in also. And if we'll use the 8-second, 16-second deal, so the fast car is 8 seconds, the slower car is 16 seconds. The amount of difference between those two times is the amount of difference on the starting line before the cars leave. So the slow car leaves first, and then 8 seconds later, the fast car leaves, and they hit the finish line at the same time. And there's shenanigans. Top end shenanigans. There's guys that are hitting their brakes so hard, their head's hitting the dash. It's fun. And
and also at Rockford Speedway, they used to have the Bahama brackets, which used a very similar thing, only for cars on an oval track, and you timed in and you could not break or bust out of your bracket because then you got DQ'd. And is it similar with bracket racing? You qualify in at a certain bracket, a certain time, and if now all of a sudden you break out, then you still don't get the win.
Right. Breaking out is a bad thing. It's running too fast, and you can get a red light or you can break out. And then the cool thing is if you're going rounds, you can adjust your dial in. After each run, you can change your dial in. You can add tenths or hundredths or thousandths to it or whatever. And it's a rolling adjustment. But once you hit the water box, you accept it. We put it in on the boards, and once it gets there and you see it, you do your burnout and come up to the starting line. That's what you accept for your numbers to run. And it's very competitive. We've had racers go all the way to the national IHRA point series quite a few years now. So,
and that's fantastic. Now, I'm going to toss something in here to you, Mark, that, I know I come from primarily an oval track background. I've done a little announcing from time to time up there at Great Lakes, especially when Broadway Bob was with us. He used to love to put me over on the dirt side, and I'd call those events over there. But I had somebody send this to me last week. I should have kept it and seen if we could have shown it on the program tonight. 2 winged outlaw sprint cars being push started on a drag strip and drag racing down a quarter mile. They had to get push started before they went because they're not self-starting. So they, started them in the staging area, and they gave them a push off, just like they would push them off on, an asphalt track or dirt track like we have at Wilmot or Dodge County, Plymouth, Beaver Dam, Dodge, wherever. But then they drag raced down the quarter mile. I don't think Broadway did a lot of things over the years, and so is Randy. But I don't think we've ever gotten sprint cars to go down the quarter yet.
Not that I've seen.
If I dish out a challenge to the guys that race at Wilmot, I think we might be able to get a couple guys to bring their sprint cars over, throw some slicks on them. Obviously, I don't think dirt tires would do real well for them. Probably wouldn't hurt the track, but I just don't think it would be really good for them. I'm going to work on that, Mark. And
that would be cool. I can remember there were a couple of guys in the old Grand National Stock Car Club that brought vintage stock cars out and ran them a few times throughout the years, and that was kind of neat to see.
Yeah, but, I think some of us have talked off air too. Jimmy Utek Jr. that recently won the best appearing at my car show a few weeks ago, won the Larry Roebuck Award. He's drag raced and driven, and and a lot of the people in his family have drag raced and come very religiously to Great Lakes Dragway. Paul Clark, the new regular track announcer at Wilmot, comes to he's got a season pass. He comes to Great Lakes Dragway quite regularly. I was sneaking up there quite a bit last year and plan on getting up there again this year, maybe even Sunday. We'll have to wait and see. But speaking of that, on Sunday and Saturday, what is the starting time this weekend for the brackets? What time should people try to get there to watch some of the preliminaries? And again, how long will it go into the evening?
Tracks usually had about 10:30. And they run 2 qualifying sessions. If everything goes swimmingly and there's no breakdowns or oil downs or anything like that, we can look at getting underway somewhere between 11 and 1 o'clock, and that's when our first round starts. If you want to come out and do test and tune, we have a test and tune lane open all day long. We run the cars out after each round. And it runs, I mean, obviously we have a curfew, but last race we did on a Saturday night, we ran it until about 8:30. Sunday ended up being a little bit longer. We have quite a few racers from points up north that are joining our program this year. So our turnout is increased probably twice as much. It's awesome turnout. But racing, about 1 o'clock you want to start seeing eliminations.
So, and again, for the latest information, folks, go to greatlakesdragway.com and they can always call. What's the phone number, Mark? And I know Randy's probably been answering the phone off the hook tonight with the cancellation. But
I actually had to write it. I've had it memorized for years, but it's been so long since I called it. 262-878-3783 is the phone number for the trackside phone. Also, in going along with all of that, next weekend is our huge weekend. It's the Memorial Day Classic. Exhibition racers, jets, wheel standers, nitro cars. The traditional summer kickoff for the season happens next Saturday.
And I'll tell you, if you've never seen the rocket cars, the jet dragsters, they're neat to see in the daytime, but you got to see them at night.
Oh, man. But the only thing I can say is it's like standing, on the flight deck of an aircraft carrier or hanging out at an airport. It's loud. It's fun. So.
Yeah, and I understand now, and they've redone your home. I mean, they have nice plush carpeting, and I heard there's a jacuzzi, a hot tub in the tower now, and all this other nice. Or was that just a rumor John was starting?
Well, yeah, we have an executive. No, we don't have any of that. We do the inside of the tower. It's really nice inside there. We actually have a tin ceiling in there now, like you'd see in an old time saloon or something. It's kind of cool. But it's all refinished inside. It's a lot more soundproof than it was. I don't know if we could be getting any smoke in the building or not, but it's pretty nice. It's a good improvement from what it was.
All righty. Well, Mark, we appreciate you taking time and sheltering from the storms. Hopefully, Mother Nature gets all that out of her system tonight. And tomorrow things improve, so you can have some racing tomorrow night at Great Lakes Dragway, and or tomorrow during the day too, and then Saturday and Sunday for the oval trackers. Wilmot will be racing Saturday night, and then also up at Plymouth, the IRA will be up there on Saturday, and up at Angel Park on Sunday, the IRA will be there with Badger Midgets. It's just a lot of racing. It's summertime now. Summer may not officially be here yet, but it's summertime. It's race time.
Everything's happening at once, and that's how it always is.
Yeah. Well, thanks a lot, Mark. Thanks a lot, Mark, for taking the time and substituting for John. And now the next time that he races up there, you can really get at him, and tell him he owes you one.
Well, thank you. Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
All right. Take care, Mark. We'll be seeing you. God bless. That was Mark Dietrich with Great Lakes Dragaway. And now we are going to bring in, I think it's going to be father and son. We know Dad was on earlier. We had planned on. Oh, there they both are. So it is father and son from the race shop, Rob and Robbie Olson. And we're going to start with Dad, not because he's older than you, Robbie.
Hey, easy.
But
older.
because he won the feature last Saturday on opening night at Wilmot Raceway for the street stock division. Congratulations, Rob. And I know you've won features before because you and I have visited in Victory Lane before.
Several times, yes.
But is this the first opening night feature that you've won?
No, I've so when the very first IMCA modified feature in 1995, I ended up winning that one, which was pretty cool. And then I won a couple other IMCA mod features on opening night. But it was really cool to be able to start out the season this way.
Well, and now obviously I wasn't there. Robbie, were you racing last week or were you just watching? I know that you got a car. Was it ready to go?
Yeah, no, I was racing last week. We got the car ready like a day before race day. So yeah, we were definitely hustling for sure. But yeah, no, my car was on track on Saturday. So
obviously you did not beat Dad. Where did you finish?
Ended up 7th place, won a heat race and started 4th in the feature and then had a left rear tire go down and had to get that changed and finished 7th. So
well, that's not too shabby.
Yeah, not too bad.
Now I've got to ask.
That's Robbie's car right there.
Yeah,
right there.
Okay, the one that's nice and straight. You don't want to show yours, Rob?
No, mine's straight now. We fixed that.
I've got to ask you, when the two of you are on the track together, and whichever one you can draw straws for who wants to answer this first. Do you worry about where each other are at, or are you just concentrating on running your own race?
Pretty much just focusing on the front, not really worrying about where my dad is or anything, just keep on going forward. So.
And I'm the same way. I mean, if I can get a run on Robbie, I'll take it because you know what, he's got to earn this. So,
yeah, right.
But yeah, no, I mean, as much as I want to see him do well, you know, I'm worried about me at that point. You know, it sounds selfish, but that's just the way it is. That's racing. You know. So.
Well, right, yeah, and you know, and like you say, I mean that's racing. I think sometimes if the two of you are side by side and you know you're side by side, I mean, you're going to race each other as hard as you would race anybody else.
Definitely. And if it was like the last lap of the feature and I was right behind my dad, I would definitely give him the bump and run for sure.
yeah.
And just
he may not have a place to keep his car after that.
I was going to say, and then deal with that at the kitchen table the next day or whatever.
But I tell you, when we're running side by side on the racetrack like that, there is nothing cooler. Yeah. I mean, it is so much fun. You know, just and the fact that we both work on each other's cars. And to be able to run side by side like that is a blast. Yeah. It's so cool.
Yeah. Now, Rob, when Robbie first said, "I want to race," what was your reaction?
About damn time. Yeah. So he started out. He started out racing at Fort Atkinson on the dirt with go-karts about 2013.
Yeah.
So, he did go-karts for a long time. He did from 13 to 21. And then 22, he jumped in the street stock, you know. So we probably would have went street stock racing the year before had it not been for COVID, but it is what it is. But it's awesome. And of course, I went and hot lapped the car. I'm like, yeah, I still can do this.
Well, and we joked about that. How much of a gap was there from your semi-retirement to coming out of retirement and starting to race again?
It was basically from my time at Wilmot or racing a modified to racing, it's about 20 years. September 2004 was my last run in a modified, and then of course last year I started up, so it's 20 years,
Okay. And I got to ask you this too, Rob. Has the track changed?
Tremendously. Oh yeah, absolutely. There was no bank way back when, I have a picture on my race pass is from my spectator car in 85. And you could just see how flat the track was back in 85 compared to now. It's crazy because there's a picture. It's a picture I'm in turn 3, and you can see directly into the pit area there's a guardrail. I mean, there's no cinder blocks or Jersey barriers. You can see right in the pit area. There's a small guardrail there, so it's changed a lot.
Do you like it better now than then?
Yeah, no, I definitely do. The track right now, I really like it. It fits. I guess it fits my driving style. I mean, I like it a lot just the way it is. Yes, absolutely. They've made the great improvements, and I think racing is a lot better than it was 20, 40 years ago, whatever it was. It's a lot better there.
Now, Robbie, for you, watching Dad first, when did you decide I want to be like Dad? I want to do what Dad's doing?
Probably when I was around like 10 or something like that. Like, was in elementary school still. Is like I see him like racing cars and stuff. I was like, dang, this is pretty cool. Like growing up being like a race car fan, of course, like watching my dad race, watching dirt track racing, and even NASCAR, of course. Like I thought that was awesome. So to be able to live it now, it's a dream come true for sure.
Well, mentioning NASCAR, some people know it. I obviously know it. Your dad used to work for NASCAR.
Yep.
And, I think, like I say, some people know it, some people don't. Rob, what were your duties in NASCAR, and what was the most memorable race that you were on NASCAR's crew for?
So I was an official, so I did the pre-race inspections. I was involved with the post-race inspections, and then during the race, I was actually on pit road. And then there were several times that I was actually the backup flag man in the flag stand. So I think some of my most memorable times is working for NASCAR was probably Michigan when Travis Quapple got his very first win for Toyota in the trucks at the time. I was in the flag stand for that, which was awesome. So that sticks out there is probably one of my most favorite times, So I was in the flag stand. I've been a flag stand at Darlington and Las Vegas, of course, Michigan, Kentucky. Probably, like I said, probably that win for Toyota because it was a big deal. It was obviously a big deal, and so that was pretty cool.
Do you miss the NASCAR stuff, or are you having more fun racing against your son on Saturday nights?
I am having way more fun racing against my son on Saturday nights. I mean, don't get me wrong, NASCAR was fun. I enjoyed doing that, but it ran its course. And I'm glad to be back at the dirt track. I'm glad to be in my home track. 10 minutes from the house, 30 minutes from the shop. I prefer that. Yes, no, it's this is way more fun. So I
probably a little less stress, I would think, too.
And a lot less travel, too.
I want to acknowledge one of our listeners that always tunes in. Sean Stykes just said hello to you guys in our chat. And
yes, absolutely.
It's great to be hearing from him. He had some health issues for a while. We were praying for him, and he's coming along now, and it's always great to see him tuning into the show. Midwest Motor Coach, Olson Transportation. Appreciate your support of our show and of the show we had at the lake a couple weeks ago. I guarantee next year it's going to be warmer on Father's Day. So we're moving it to Father's Day.
I'm going to hold you to that because the last 2 years been frigid.
So, but Midwest Motor Coach, you guys are involved in something which is near and dear to both of our hearts.
Absolutely.
The Lake County Honor Flight.
Yes.
Tell the folks how you got involved with the Honor Flight and what Olson Transportation and Midwest Motor Coach does 3 times a year for Lake County Honor Flight.
So we got involved. One of my drivers at the time, I don't know what capacity he was, but that's how we got involved. And we've been involved ever since. And it is truly an honor to be able to do that, to be able to be involved with that. It's awesome.
And I know you had the same driver that was the driver for the bus for many years, but he retired, just a couple of years ago, I think?
So the original driver, he retired, and then the driver who's been doing it, Bob, he loves doing it. Unfortunately he missed the trip up this spring, which was hard on him, but he did drive the bus home on Sunday. So he is so proud to do that. I can't even tell you how proud he is to just to be able to do that.
Well, and the racetrack is getting involved. Actually, MLS Auto Clinic, Eddie and Debbie Boyd are getting involved with the Honor Flight. The flag stand has been renamed at Wilmot the Honor Flight flag stand presented by MLS Auto Clinic, and that's in recognition of Lake County Honor Flight and Stars and Stripes Honor Flight, which is the flight that goes out of Wisconsin. But if folks are interested in Honor Flight in general, see Rob in the pits, see me when I'm at the track, see Eddie Boyd, or contact us. And what's funny, Rob, is over the last couple of weeks, I've had people at Racing Roundup. I had a gentleman at Racing Roundup who wants to get his dad on a flight. Awesome. And so I got him information. I had a lady come up to me at the car show. Her and her husband want to be guardians. And, that's what it's all about. And,
Absolutely.
I'm going to tell you this, as a guardian, I was a guardian a year ago. It was beyond anything I could have expected. And it has changed my life. Yeah. I mean, the time you spend with that veteran who I had never even met
really
until we had our training.
Yeah.
It's just amazing. So again, if you're interested, see Rob, see me, heck, see Robbie. When are we going to get Robbie? Robbie needs to go as a guardian.
Yeah.
Or we could put him to work on the ground crew.
There you go.
There we go. All right. We're going to have to work on that, Rob. Well, other sponsors that we'll let Dad go first here. Sponsors, Rob, that you want to thank that get you to the racetrack each and every week.
Sure. So I got to thank Ernie Peterson Plumbing. They've been with us for several years now. That's my buddy Ron. Ted Richter from JR's Wrecker Services. Anybody who's been around racing for a long time knows the Richter name. Of course, Midwest Motor Coach. But then again, this year we've got 2 new sponsors to come on. Peterson Excavating over here in Gurnee, and Midwest IT Services out of Twin Lakes, Wisconsin, has come on to support us again this year, which is just a huge help.
And Robbie, I presume you're going to say ditto unless you picked up a couple that Dad didn't know about.
Yeah, pretty much the same stuff. So yeah.
Hello, Alan Tater Safford is now on saying you guys are double trouble.
That's right.
Got to ask you though, Robbie, mom, Rob, wife, how is she about the racing? I love this look that Rob just had.
She's calm for part of it, but mainly she's all over the place. Yeah, she definitely gets riled up for sure. So,
who does she cheer for, Rob? You or Robbie?
I'm sure it's Robbie.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, her support is awesome. I mean, obviously she's been around the racetrack a long time. In fact, that she was the very last Wilmot Trophy Queen in 1984. So she's been around the racetrack a long time.
You better say her name, Rob. You haven't said her name yet.
Well, my wife Tammy has been very awesome. She's been very supportive to all this. I mean, when we brought in the first race car, she's like, okay. And then we talked about having a second car. She's like, okay. No, didn't say no. So we're good. We're good. No, she's been a huge support, and you know, the fact that she's behind us and she's loves what we do, and she loves watching us do race, even though she doesn't know who to cheer for sometimes. That's awesome. You can't ask for more than that.
No, that's for sure. Well, Rob and Robbie, thank you for taking your time to be with us tonight and weathering the storms out there. And also thank you for the support of me personally and the show and the car show and just everything. We've been great friends for a long, long time. We go way back before
Yes.
Robbie was even thought of.
Yeah.
So we'll be looking forward to seeing you Saturday night. I'll be at Wilmot Saturday calling the wingless, but I'll be there watching you guys and enjoying it.
Very good.
Sounds good.
Appreciate it. Thanks,
Awesome.
Mike.
Thank you.
Thank you. Take care. God bless. That's Rob and Robbie Olson, street stock racers at Wilmot Raceway. They'll be racing Saturday night out there at Wilmot. All right. Now we're going to bring in Adam Taylor and Nathan Crane. And yes, the shirtless wonder. I hope he's got his shirt on tonight. Oh, well, actually, it's a dark screen. We don't have a camera, so I guess we're
I do have a shirt. I'm at work right now on lunch.
All righty. Well, welcome both of you to the program. Adam, you had a great run on Saturday at Sycamore in the midget, running against Parker Jones, who picked up the win. But just a great run for you the week before at Wilmot, and its season opener with the Wisconsin wingless sprints. For a while, we thought we were going to have a replay of what happened in October down at Joliet when you caught Chris Klemko on the last lap. Well, this time, Chris weathered what seemed like endless cautions.
That was
for the win. But welcome both of you to the program. Adam, you're going to have a busy weekend. You're going to be running a couple different cars. Tell the folks a little bit about your plans this Saturday and Sunday.
Yeah, so this Saturday I'll be at Wilmot in the wingless car again. And then Sunday I will be at Angel Park in the midget. It's going to make for a decently busy weekend. The following weekend, though, is going to be real busy for me. We'll be in the wingless car at Wilmot on Friday. Wingless car Saturday at Sycamore, and then Angel Park on Sunday in the midget again. So I've got a couple busy weekends coming up. But
that'll be in 2 weeks, right? You mean the last?
Yeah,
weekend?
2 weeks. Yeah, sorry, 2 weeks.
Yeah, that's okay. Memorial Day weekend, I presume you'll be at Wilmot on Saturday for the Founders Night, because the wingless run Saturday.
Yep, that's the plan.
See, I can help a little bit in keeping your schedule because I know where I'm supposed to be most of the time.
Yeah, no, that's the plan. It's between running the Badger stuff, the wingless stuff, and then my midget with the national stuff. Schedule gets kind of mixed up in the head a little bit, so there's a lot going on.
Which car do you like driving better?
Oh man,
Way to put him on the spot, Mike.
yeah. I mean, I like them both pretty equal. They both got their own challenges. Where the wingless car, it's a big, heavy car that's under horsepower, so you've got to be able to keep the momentum up and drive it real smooth. And it's forgiving, but not as much as what the midget is. Where the midget, it's lighter, quite a bit of horsepower, and you can make a mistake and pull out of it pretty easy. But for me, I think the wingless car is way easier to drive than what the midget is. I mean, the midget, you've got to be on kill like every lap. Where the wingless car, I don't want to say you can take it easy, but I don't feel like you have to push it as hard every lap, every corner.
Now, Nathan Crane, the shirtless wonder, if you want to know why he's got that nickname, I'm going to let him answer that shortly here. But he sent out a Facebook posting probably maybe a month ago, Nathan, and there was this list of all these different cars that Nathan was driving. And I sent him a message and I said, Nathan, I said, can you bring a car to the car show? Or no, I said, can you come to the car show? And he says, yeah, you just want me? And I said, you've got all these cars. Can't you bring a car? And he goes, I don't own any of them. So, Nathan, tell everybody about first of all, tell us about the shirtless wonder. Where did that come from? Who gave you that nickname and what's that all about?
Can you guys hear me just before I go on the rant?
Yeah, we got you.
Perfect. Awesome. So the shirtless wonder came from Ray Underwood, actually. But I've been racing go-karts since I was 5, so I always ran around the pits without my shirt on, and so everybody always knew me as that, and I overheat pretty quick, so it's the fastest way to cool down and not pass out or anything like that, especially on the hot days of racing in summer. And one night, somebody came up after me and they were like, "Oh, you're the shirtless wonder," but nobody ever called me that before, and I was just like, "No, that ain't me. I'm just a guy who's got his shirt off." And they're like, "No, the announcer, he said it." And then so we looked up that race and we saw it, and it caught on pretty quick. We totally just messing around, made some shirts, and we ended up selling 250 to 300 shirts, which was just, I only ordered 50 and they all went out right away, and we ordered 100 and those went out right away. And so everywhere I go, as long as it's, that's kind of the temperature detector for everybody. If I got my shirt on or a hoodie on, it's cold. So,
well, I'll tell you what, last week at Sycamore, you would have had two sweatshirts on. It was 75 when I pulled into the racetrack. It was 75. I swear, by the time we did the national anthem, it was probably in the 50s, but it felt like it was in the 30s.
I'm probably sure with the wind chill and no sun and all that. Yeah.
Oh, the wind started coming out of the east, and Adam will tell you, the wind was coming out of the east, and it just dropped like a rock, and it made for a mess now. All right, now who all are you driving for this year, Nathan, and what car or cars might we see you in this weekend?
So I'm full-time in the Vanderveer 604 winged that run only at Wilmot. So I'll be with them full-time every race that's there. I'll be part 2/3 in the midget with Sober Racing with Shay and Jess. Those I got split dates with me and Tommy Colburn. So I'll be in that part-time, but like I said, two-thirds probably in that for the season. And then also with Ralph Johnson Racing, wingless car. He's just finishing up a couple things. And then once that's done, I'll jump into that probably a handful of nights, maybe.
Did we lose you?
I think so.
Nathan?
So far, that list is just.
Oh, he's back.
Can you hear me? Sorry.
Yeah, we can hear you now.
What was the last thing you guys heard? What was the last thing you guys heard?
You were talking about your wingless with Ralph.
Gotcha. Yeah. So then just a couple nights with Ralph Johnson once he gets the things that in order on what he needed to get done. That'll probably be towards the end of the year. And then my bucket list is just to drive everything at least once. So definitely interested in a Bandit modified street stock. Just super cool. Anything's with four wheels and a steering wheel and a seat. I'm down for it.
All right. Well, and Ralph Johnson, he let me drive his wingless last year on
Yes, he
practice.
did.
And, that was kind of fun. That was a little bucket list birthday present for me that weekend that he put me in the car and at practice. And, Chris Klemko told me, do not hit the wall. If you hit it, you're going to repaint it. And I didn't hit it. So
That's good.
But, Adam, I've never driven a midget. Maybe sometime on I do not want to. No, I am not going to race. My wife's not down here anymore, but no, I'm not going to race. I do just see what it's like.
Yeah, we might be able to make that happen one weekend.
Okay, sounds good. So now, Nathan, I know you're at work, so we're going to let you get back to work pretty quick here. But you have a big event that you've been doing now for a couple of years. When is it scheduled this year coming up? And tell the folks a little bit about it.
Yeah. So it's the Midwest Racers. This one's going to be the 7th annual. It's going to be the big one again. Right now, we're looking for November. There's some super big plans that potentially might happen. If we can get this on flow, we might be able to bring bigger names. And if that's the case, then we probably have to move it to December, only because those big names, they run 10 months out of the year. But if we don't end up getting it to be on flow, we'll have it on Badger Racing TV. And then it'll be the normal dates and stuff like that. And I would love to have Adam Taylor wheel those go-karts around there, go 50 miles an hour indoor. It's a blast. Last November, we rented out the whole place. We had 84 racers. I'm expecting at least probably 100 now. We had all the way to we were supposed to have a J main, but because we were running tight on time and everything, we had to add a couple more people in each main just to cut down the mains. But it's a blast. Right now, there's nothing set in stone officially, but as soon as I get the information that I need and start get the ball rolling, I'll definitely post and tag everybody, just that way they make sure they don't make any plans that day.
Did we lose you again? I think we might have.
Yeah.
4 is just to see everyone's got that itch and you can't go nowhere because there's snow on the ground and it's cold and all that fun stuff.
All right. Well, Nathan, you've been cutting in and out, so I think that's the signal that you need to go back to work.
Copy that.
So hopefully we see a Saturday night at Wilmot Racing something. And,
yes.
And then Sunday up at Angel Park, maybe in your midget.
Potentially, yeah, but guaranteed for sure Saturday, Wilmot. Speaking of the wing, I'd like to give thanks to sponsors and such. My hero, Matt Vanderveer, Natasha Vanderveer, for giving me the opportunity to race with them. It's been an absolute pleasure. Steve and Amy at Pink Roofing. I got to thank the Power Plant, Tony and Carla at Don's Machine Shop for just giving us a really awesome engine and just having a blast in it. Chris and Lori at Miller Motors, Eddie at MLS Auto Clinic, Mark and Tony at Bodycraft, TK Investigations, Security Firearms, and of course I got to thank my crew chief, Jimmy, aka Turbo. Literally without him, I work 2 full-time jobs. I'm not trying to brag or boast or anything, but he's the only reason I'm in these cars is because he goes over during the week when I'm working until midnight and I'm up at 5 a.m. for the next job. So without Jimmy, I literally would not be able to be in any race car because no car owner is going to be like, yeah, you can drive my stuff and do no maintenance on it. So, and I also got to thank my wife, Lauren, and my 2 beautiful children, Cooper and Charlotte. And special thanks to all those who have sacrificed to get me where I'm at in life and in racing and just everything. So those are all the people I want to thank.
All right. Thank you, Shirtless Wonder. And we'll see you on Saturday night. And hopefully it'll be warm enough that you won't have the shirt on. Adam, folks that you want to thank that get you to the racetrack each and every week.
To get me to the track, my mom, my dad, my girlfriend, Kelsey. And then with the sprint car, the Doherty family, Dave Alexander, Mago Crane. On the Badger Midget side, Dennis, Aaron, and Jones, Larry Spray. They've back in 2003 they gave me a Badger championship. Without any of those guys, Dave Alexander, everybody, I wouldn't be where I am right now. I'm grateful for the opportunities that's came over the last three years now in my 31 years of racing. It's probably the best opportunities I've had. But I couldn't do it without anybody that is at the track with me every weekend, and all the support that they give me. I unfortunately all of them, but my own midget, that all the cars I drive, they're all over in Illinois, 2+ hours away from me. So it's kind of hard for me to get over during the week and try and help them out or anything, but we always call them, say, is there anything we can help with? Anything you
And
guys.
you're in Indiana, just so folks that may not be familiar.
So we always try and make sure that whether it's the non-wing car or the midget, if there's anything we need, fuel, tires, that we can run down to Spike down in Indianapolis, Hoosier tires, if we can run down, get something to make it a little bit easier and a little bit quicker, we try and do whatever we can for them just to make it easier on them and, help us go get some wins this year.
All righty. Well, we appreciate you taking the time. We'll look forward to seeing you Saturday at Wilmot in the wingless.
Yep.
And we'll see you on Sunday at Angel Park in the Badger. Safe travels up here from the Hoosier State, and we'll be seeing you at the racetrack.
Yep, most definitely. Thank you guys for having me on.
Take care. Thanks, Adam.
All right.
Adam Taylor joining us, and he runs wingless and also Badger Midget. Now we're going to bring a couple of different folks in. We're going to bring Chad Stouthammer and Bob Peterson Sr. Chad picking up the win, his first career win in a IRA Lightning Sprint, an 1175 sports bar and eatery Lightning Sprint, or actually sports complex and eatery Lightning Sprint this last Saturday at Sycamore. And his grandpa, 92 years young, Bob Peterson Sr., who I've known for many, many years, goes way back. And we're also going to bring in Scotty Neitzel. We're going to kind of do a threesome here, 3 screens. Scotty Neitzel joining us from up north. He has weathered the storms that made their way through. At least I hope so, because we just had him a few minutes ago here in Antioch. My wife was running around closing windows while I was continuing to do the show. But welcome, gentlemen, to the program. Scotty, we're going to start with you. You are muted right now. So, Scotty, you need to unmute yourself, I think.
There you go.
And I know it wasn't what we wanted to hear earlier this afternoon, but I think for the safety of drivers in all the classes that would have been competing tomorrow night at Dodge County in the Harry Neitzel Memorial, it's been postponed until September due to the anticipated really high winds that they're talking about tomorrow. So, first of all, your thoughts on the postponement, and some people are saying why are you postponing when it's a 20 mile or 25 mile or 30 mile an hour wind? Well, you as a driver, I think, can address that, Scotty.
Yeah, I guess I had a little bit of mixed emotions myself about it. I think one time in I-96 Michigan, we raced through a tornado, went past the back chute. I'm not saying that's the right thing to do by any means. I think for me, it was more just really being disappointed that we were going to have some weather. A lot going on there, though, right? Probably the best call, the safest call. I mean, not only do you have what's going on race night, you got fans traveling to the racetrack. You got some big race rigs traveling to the racetrack. A lot of different things like that going on. If something would go in the wrong direction, what do you do with all them people to make sure everybody's safe? Wouldn't be the first time that some IRA rigs were caught up in a storm, actually. Dale Peterson's rig was caught up in a storm many years ago, things like that. Lucky some people didn't. Lucky some of the results weren't worse. I just think it's probably the right call. Like I say, just super disappointed. Was kind of looking forward to having the race into Springs. We didn't put ourselves in a position in the fall, whether we're going to have bad weather then, with it getting cold and so forth. But we usually make a pretty solid event in the fall, even if, the weather gets cold, everybody puts on a stocking cap and a winter jacket, and we'll just try it then, I guess. So.
What is the date in the fall? I believe is it going to be the same weekend as the finals at Plymouth?
I kind of think that's a direction we're headed. There's only another opportunity a few weeks prior that Steve's looking at. I really am not involved in when he's going to postpone it to, which dates he's going to pick. I just know it's going to have to be one of them 2 weekends. There's really just no other place to put it the way the schedule is this year. So.
Okay, and Chad, and we're going to go with the elder statesman first, Chad. Bob, you've been around racing a long time. I don't know if you've seen every race that Scotty Neitzel has run, but you've probably seen a lot of them. And your thoughts about racing today versus how it was back in the day when you were really involved with the IRA and a past IRA president?
Well, I think racing is racing, and generally speaking, the cream does come to the top. As far as the changes, some of them I like, some of them I don't like so well. But I can tell you one thing from watching it. The competition always seems to get a little bit better. And I think Scott would probably agree with that. With all the races that he has put in and how well he's done, it just seems that there's always a little more to be achieved. And unfortunately, more expense is a part of that too, and makes it a little bit more difficult for a lot of good competitors.
Now, Chad, you've watched a lot of people race over the years. As you and I talked in Victory Lane down there at Sycamore, I mean, you come from a racing family. Tell the folks, first of all, a little bit about the racing family that is your lineage, and what it felt like to finally get that first feature win in a lightning sprint on Saturday night at Sycamore.
Well, it was unbelievable. It was actually really exciting. So years ago, my Uncle Dale and Grandpa got me started in dirt go-karts at Beaver Dam. And my uncle is Dale Peterson, which used to run with Scotty. He's the younger uncle of the two that both run 410s. And they really were pushing me for years and years to get into another car. And I ended up buying a house, and now I'm building storage units. And life kind of got away. Well, last year I decided to buy a lightning sprint just to get my feet wet in it. Well, they got all riled up and super excited, and Bob Peterson ends up wrenching on the car for me, and he's done a fabulous job. And it's kind of funny to see them both because they're throwing all their 410 maneuvers at it and wrenches at it. And Dale wasn't at the race at Sycamore, but he was calling Bob back and forth over the phone, do this, do that, telling him if I hear weird noises, just hold on and don't let out of the throttle, and all kinds of cool thing. And it's really cool to be a part of that with the whole family. It's kind of a big community because they all have a little bit different experience than me, and Bob stopped before Dale stopped. So there's different stuff that he learned that Bob didn't know. So it's kind of cool to be a part of all of that. So they absolutely loved it. And like I said, Grandpa's a diehard sprint car fan, so he'll do anything for sprint car racing, that's for sure. So
now, Scotty,
on Saturday,
I asked Chad, what it was like for his first feature win in the lightning sprint. Do you remember back when you won your first feature in a 410 sprint car? I know you've won a lot of races, but your first one in a 410 sprint car, if you can, where was it at, and what did it feel like to you in Victory Lane?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the only thing I started right out in, what was a sprint car back in the day. We didn't distinguish whether they were 360s or 410s. I had a 377 engine at the time and was racing with 410 cars, and like I said, they were just, you had what you had. Some guys had 430s, they were big blocks running, it was just a little different time. Yeah, I remember my first win. I mean, and my first win was at Beaver Dam Raceway right here at home, a place that, in all honesty, I've won only one 410 race at since. I've gone across the line backwards, sideways, upside down, everything else, trying to win, and just can't seem to make that happen. The play just don't seem to have any luck there, or just the way things end up. Wrecked race cars leading. A lot of things have happened, but I remember my first one was actually over the 4th of July weekend. I think it must have been 1994, and it was a pretty crazy night for me. They had a huge, Gary Schlafer owned it at the time and spent a ton of money on a huge fireworks display, and it was just a pretty crazy event. I remember it was called the Coca-Cola Classic, 94, 95, somewhere in there. Yeah, it was a crazy time for a kid growing up right here, in Fox Lake, right around the corner of Beaver Dam Raceway, and attending every Tuesday night at Beaver Dam Raceway. Gary came around a car. I remember he sort of picked me up and presented me to the crowd. It was a pretty crazy ordeal. Joe Rowe was leading the race with 1 lap to go, and I passed him coming out of turn 2. On the white flag, he kind of went down to the bottom, and got tucked in behind a lap car, and I, of all things, drove up around the top of him and ended up winning. Yeah, I mean, one thing I remember the event, they tied a pillow in Joe Rowe's car the next week, said he got caught sleeping, and it was great, It probably was a storybook win for a kid like me, Took me a long time to win another race, but I shouldn't say I won a race the following week, my second feature the following week, and I think it took me 2 years to win one after that. So you never know how all that stuff unfolds, just group of IRA 410 racers, always been a competitive group, as Bob spoke to there, it always gets harder, and they raise the bar every year a little more, but, back in the day when Bob's boys were racing there, let me tell you, the bar was awful high then, and those kids won some races, and when I started out going down there to Wilmot, you'd show up and, you were there, there'd be 40 race cars on any given Saturday night, and I can remember rolling in down there and trying to get some laps, and I had zero racing experience, never raced anything, and parking it in the middle of the B main, and just feeling defeated for the whole first year, trying to beat your way through that B main, and year and a half later, you sort of beat your way into the back row of the A main, and things have progressed, and we beat our way up to the front every now and again. So it's been pretty fortunate. But yeah, congratulations on your first win there. It's exciting. Like I said, I remember mine like it was yesterday, to be honest with you. So
thank you, Scott.
And now, Scotty, family that you got going within racing and that supported you and kind of looked at you maybe even strange when you said, I want to go racing.
Yeah, I don't know. I think my mother tried everything she could at a young age to keep me away from race cars. It's taken so much of my family's time. I think she wondered what it would turn into. And I think once I got started and got rolling, I think she realized it was something that I could focus on. Took me a long time to get good at it. To be honest, I wasn't a natural race car driver by any means. I don't think it took me a ton of hard work and a ton of focus. I've made a lot of other sacrifices in my life to race cars. I'm happy I've made most of them, to be honest with you. It's really all I've ever done. I eat, sleep, and breathe this, it's what I've ever done. And we're getting a little closer to the end of all this, I think, here. It's time to maybe start picking and choosing some different racetracks and things we're going to do. But we'll just see. But yeah, I mean, my mom and dad were behind me my entire racing career. Like I said, for the most part, we're very supportive. They didn't buy me race cars. They said, you're going to work as hard as you can and get your own race car. But they presented me with a lot of opportunities that I don't know if a lot of young kids have. That was definitely given to me. We ran R&H racing equipment. I had my first race car came from Joe Rowe. The nose was literally broke off the thing. I had to get Kenny Beerser to fix it for me. At the time we weren't doing chassis repair. A lot of things like that. Kevin Speece gave me the first quick change rear end I had. Same thing. It was broke. I had to fix that. They made me work for it. And I think at the time I really didn't understand that. I was pretty frustrated with it, that we were selling parts, but I had to fix some old junk. But I think it taught me a great lesson in life, right? And made me work super hard at getting where I am. But my mom and dad were super supportive. Rick Lemansky's been my crew chief. He's my godfather. Been my crew chief through my whole racing career. When I left the shop in the hailstorm to head home here to talk to you folks. He was changing torsion bars as we got canceled at Dodge and getting the thing ready for Plymouth, So tomorrow we'll finish that up. My wife, Brenda Lee, has been with me for most of this racing career, super supportive. Had some good crew members been with me a long time. John Alexander, Brian Mason, Kyle Newman came on board with his young son lately. Joe and Preston, just a great group of people that have always been there to help me. I worked awful hard at this myself, but for the most part, I've always had a group of people helping me and pushing me forward, and I couldn't do it without them.
Well, and I'll tell you, Scotty, you're one of the class guys in the sport. There's a number of us that are pushing for you to join the ranks of the Southeastern Wisconsin Short Track Hall of Fame, and hopefully when they announce the class that is up for election this fall, your name's on that ballot, because it deserves to be on that ballot. And wish you the best in that. Wish you the best this weekend, Saturday night up at Plymouth, Sunday at Angel Park. Chad and Bob, anything you want to say in closing here? I really appreciate all three of you guys taking the time out with these storms that are going through and everything else, to visit, because we get a lot of viewers on this, and people can view this now forever. It gets archived and they can watch it whenever they like. But Chad, anybody you want to thank, sponsors, marketing partners, folks that get you to victory lane, besides Grandpa that's sitting next to you?
Yeah, he's the big one next to me. He's the main motor sponsor. But I'd also like to shout out to New Berlin Grading. They've been with me for 2 years now. EKG Trucking's been with me for 2 years. And then we got 4 other new sponsors this year. AP Performance, R&H Auto Spa, Krautland State Fair, and the Window Barn. Those are all smaller ones, but everything helps in the sport, as Scotty knows. It doesn't matter. If they back you, it helps the sport to make everything go fast. So that's
sure.
about all. Other than that, Grandpa's really the big one. So, but
Grandpa, you're the elder statesman in the room. Your final thoughts.
Well, I tell you what, I think that it's really, truly racing is about as fine a hobby as anybody could possibly have. But I think there's even something more important that racing brings out. It's helping other drivers, other people, respecting the competition, and always doing your best to get to the front.
Well, the great words to end this show by. Gentlemen, again, I appreciate you all very, very much. I wish you the best this weekend. I won't be up at Plymouth. I'll be at Wilmot with the wingless on Saturday night. But I hope to get reports that both of you end up in victory lane on Saturday up at Plymouth. That would be fine with me.
I hope so.
All right, Chad, Bob, Scotty, thank you very much. And we'll see you at the races real soon.
All right. Thanks for having me.
Thanks.
God bless. Bye-bye. That's going to wrap up this week's show. Get out to a local race, whether it be Great Lakes Dragaway, whether it be Wilmot Raceway Saturday, whether it be Plymouth Saturday, whether it be Angel Park, Beaver Dam on Sunday, Great Lakes Dragaway Saturday, Sunday, Friday. Just get out and support your local racetrack. Until we see you next time, this is Mike Babicz wishing you a pleasant evening, the best of tomorrows. Remember, kids, just say no to drugs. Thanks. Good night. God bless. And let's go racing, everybody.